Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much for joining us for Western Australia's 2021 Australian of the Year Awards. My name's Jeff Hutchison. I'm from ABC Radio, and it is my very great pleasure to be your host this evening in these beautiful surrounds at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel. Now, obviously, arrangements for these proceedings have been a little different this year due to social distancing regulations, but we have a really prestigious event ahead, as scattered as some of you may be in this beautiful ballroom. And to those who are watching online, we hope that you enjoy the program too. In this of all years, the Australian spirit has come to the fore. Through natural disasters and coronavirus lockdowns, our nation's often unsung heroes have inspired awe with their selfless acts. Whether braving bushfires to save the lives of people and wildlife, showing kindness through charity to help those in need, or caring for those who have suffered in this ongoing pandemic, the best of us have displayed the qualities that make us proud to call Australia home. This has by any measure been a truly extraordinary year, and our nominees are truly extraordinary Australians, and we don't often get a chance to thank them in person. So let's do that now, ladies and gentlemen. Now, this evening, of course, you are welcome to join us in recognising those heroes by posting on social media, so please share your support by using the hashtag #OzOfTheYear across Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. That's #OzOfTheYear. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome Jonathan Ford to welcome us to country.
Kaya, before us, deadly, you responded very well. I just want to acknowledge my grandmother, Teresa Wally, my uncle Richard Wally, my auntie Millie Penny Wally, my uncle Trevor Wally for the smoking ceremony, and Uncle Timmy Kelly and the Kelly gang for the wonderful dancing. I want to acknowledge my old people for keeping this tongue and enabling me to be able to share this tongue with you today. Kaya morit mam and morit yoga, nyan jerp and wakan and nunga buja, nyan damanga ma wearing, jenning ninja buja kora, nyan yunga more, jenning ninja buja kelak. Nyan damanga ma jena cooling ninja buja, nyan jena cooling ninja buja, nyan coolinga jena cooling ninja buja. So in the language of our old people, I'll say, hello all you deadly men and women. I'm really happy to be able to be here and speak today. I want to acknowledge that the spirit of my ancestors have walked this country since the beginning of time, and they still watch over this country today. The feet of my ancestors have walked this country, my feet have walked this country, and my children's feet walk this country. As this always was and always will be, Wajak Nunga Buja. So we say, Kaya Wanju, Wajak Nunga Buja. So hello and welcome to Wajak Nunga country. Thank you.
Jonathan, thank you very much indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, I now invite you all to stand and join in the national anthem. Will you be singing Young or One? I'll be watching. Please, ladies and gentlemen, stand and be part of this rich experience.
when I send all my doubts and demons on their way. Every endeavor I have made ever is coming into play, is here and now today. This is the moment, this is the time, when the momentum and the moment are in rhyme. Give me this moment, this precious chance. I'll gather up my past and make some sense at last. This is the moment when all I've done, all of the dreaming, scheming and screaming become one. This is the day, see it sparkle and shine, when all I've lived for becomes mine. For all these years I faced the world alone, and now the time has come to prove to them I made it on my own. This is the moment, and my final test, the destiny beckoned, I never reckoned second best. When I look back, I will always recall, this was the moment, the sweetest moment of them all. This is the moment, damn all the odds, this day or never, I'll sit forever with the gods. When I look back, I will always recall, this was the moment, the greatest moment, the sweetest moment of them all.
And thank you to our wonderful performers from the West Australian Academy of Performing Arts, Lachlan Higgins, Jasper Cruden. Tim, thank you for your splendid work too. That inspiring rendition. This is the moment the rest of us realised we can't sing. The Honourable Kim Beazley, the Governor of Western Australia, the Honourable Roger Cook, Deputy Premier of Western Australia, Minister for Health and Mental Health, representing the Premier of Western Australia, Mr Bradley Woods, the Chairman of ASPIRE, the Australia Day Council WA, the Honourable Steve Irons, MP, on behalf of Assistant Manager Ben Morton and the Prime Minister Scott Morrison, Ms Lisa Harvey, Leader of the Opposition, the Honourable Ken Michael, former Governor of WA, Mr Al Williams, Managing Director, Chevron Australia, Dr Robert Isaacs, National Australia Day Council Board Member, Wajak Elder Teresa Wally, the ASPIRE Board members, Deputy Lord Mayor of the City of Perth, Sandy Angie, representing the Lord Mayor, the West Australian of the Year 2021 finalists, the Australian of the Year alumni, ASPIRE's Australia Day ambassadors, and ladies and gentlemen. I would now like to invite Bradley Woods, the Chair of ASPIRE, the Australia Day Council of Western Australia, to say a few words.
Thank you very much, Jeff, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Can I firstly thank Jonathan for a welcome to country that was very much appreciated, and on behalf of Teresa, so thank you very much. And of course, what an incredible start to the evening from both Lachlan and Jasper. As Jeff's pointed out, we're joined this evening by a number of special guests and distinguished guests who have already been recognised, but I'd like to particularly thank and recognise the Honourable Kim Beazley AC, Governor of Western Australia, Governor, we're extremely appreciative of your support, patronage and the gravitas you bring to these awards, and in particular the highlighting of the wonderful work that many West Australians do. So thank you very much. And of course, throughout the year, the Governor supports our organisation through many other ways as well, so thank you. To our Vice Patron and the Premier of Western Australia, represented this evening by the Honourable Roger Cook, Deputy Premier and Minister for Health. You've had a particularly challenging and stressful year, and it's wonderful that you could join us here this evening, so welcome, Minister. I too respectfully acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land in which we are gathering on, the Whadjuk people. I acknowledge and respect their continuing culture and the contribution they make to the life of this city and to this region. It's a pleasure to be able to acknowledge the history of where we stand and the enormous amount of contribution that Aboriginal people make today, particularly to our arts and our culture and to the tourism of Western Australia. Well, on behalf of AusSpire, the Australia Day Council of Western Australia, it's a pleasure to welcome all of you here this evening. The 2021 Australian of the Year Awards are certainly, like any other awards, a very important part of our annual calendar, but this year particularly even more memorable because of what we've all been through, and certainly Australia has been through and the world has been through. It's so pleasing to see so many of our WA Australian of the Year Award alumni join us here this evening, but in particular our 2020 recipients Annie Fogarty, Yalulu Thomas, Susie Urbanak and John Newnham, who have represented us extremely well this year, given particularly the challenges of the Zoom events and all of the other ways in which we've communicated and presented our award winners this year. These people, these four individuals, are truly outstanding Australians, and we've celebrated with them. Indeed, as we will celebrate today with all of our finalists and our winners, and we can be tremendously proud how their work over the past year and in their lifetime has shaped our community and all of our lives in Western Australia, but also our nation. Our sponsors also play a very important part of a not-profit organisation like the Australia Day Council and AusSpire. And the support from our sponsors enables us to provide these types of events and also the work that is undertaken throughout the year. And we're particularly delighted to welcome representatives from each of our sponsoring organisations here this evening. I acknowledge our network partners, the National Australia Day Council, led by its Chair, Danny Roche, and its CEO, Carly Brand, for their ongoing support. And thank you, Dr. Robert Isaacs, National Australia Day Council Board Member, for also joining us here this evening. Along with the Commonwealth Government's support, I'd like to especially recognise the Department of WA Premier and Cabinet. As the administrators of these prestigious awards, AusSpire could not deliver the work that we do without the support of the State Government and the Commonwealth. Recently, Australian of the Year Award sponsor delegates joined together with a team from AusSpire and the community representatives that we bring together each year to create our selection panel. A selection panel that adjudicates some 200 plus entries for all of our four awards. And I'd like to offer my personal thanks and appreciation to my fellow board members for their contribution, but also our independent judges and our sponsors for the work they put in to determining the outcome of the awards that will be presented here this evening. The task was not an easy one, to whittle down those numbers down to 16 remarkable individuals that will all be recognised this evening. Four of you, of course, will go on to represent us on the national stage in Canberra in January. We learned throughout the adjudication process of your incredible community, state, national and in some cases international contributions, and we're proud to share your stories here this evening. I'd like to acknowledge the small team that work diligently at AusSpire, headed by CEO Morgan Lewis, for bringing this prestigious program together. Our network of volunteers, thank you for your generous support. And I acknowledge the work of everyone who, from the board through to all of the volunteers throughout the year, your energy and insight as we work towards a vision for Australia to be the most socially and culturally inclusive country in the world, where everyone feels a deep sense of belonging and a desire to participate in our Australian identity. Most importantly, can I thank all of you for joining us here this evening, helping us celebrate some wonderful West Australians who we will shortly recognise, our 4 finalists in each of the 4 categories, and soon to celebrate the finalists who will represent Western Australia on the national stage in January. Ladies and gentlemen, have a wonderful night, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bradley. We received more than double the number of awards nominations this year, which in some respect reflects the enormous challenges that people in this country have faced this year. And from those nominations, our West Australian panel has selected 16 incredible people who are being celebrated this evening. One recipient will soon be announced in each category: Australia's Local Hero, the Young Australian of the Year, the Senior Australian of the Year, and of course the Australian of the Year. And these 4 will then go on to join other state and territory recipients at the National Awards on the eve of Australia Day, announced by the Prime Minister and broadcast live on ABC TV. Whatever the outcome this evening, all our nominees richly deserve to be here, and we congratulate them for reaching this very important stage of the nation's most prestigious awards programs. And the fact you've been allowed to come in here with a glass and drink while this happens, I expect you to be slightly raucous. Could you please give them a round of applause? And ladies and gentlemen, I do now welcome Western Australia's Deputy Premier, the Honourable Roger Cook, to share some words, and let's give him a warm welcome. Roger.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you very much, everyone, for the opportunity to be with you on this very special evening. Can I begin just by acknowledging and joining you all in acknowledging the traditional owners on the land on which we meet, the Whadjuk people of the proud Noongar Nation. We give thanks for sharing this country and acknowledge their elders past and present. We also take the opportunity to acknowledge Mrs. Wally and Jonathan Ford, not just because they are great leaders in our community, but they're great leaders in my community of Kwinana, and so very special people to me. Can I just do some brief acknowledgements, because we've got some very special guests in the here this evening, but I hope you'll indulge me just while I acknowledge the Governor, the Honourable Kim Beazley AC, Governor of Western Australia, and my parliamentary colleagues, the Honourable Lisa Harvey, Leader of the Opposition, and Minister Steve Irons. It's great to have you here, and I'm very much looking forward to spending the evening here with you all. And thank you very much, everyone, for the opportunity to be with you here tonight. It's delightful to be here at the announcement of the recipients of the 2021 Australian of the Year Awards for Western Australia. We were invited here tonight by AusSpire, Australia Day Council WA, as the organising body for this award program in our state. And I want to take the opportunity to just thank Bradley for your leadership and chairmanship of that organisation. And the Government of Western Australia proudly supports AusSpire in delivering its various community recognition and engagement programs which culminate in these prestigious awards today. We acknowledge the importance of recognising these wonderful people and the significant benefits they bring to Australia. I had the pleasure of meeting some of them a little earlier this afternoon, and they are truly remarkable people. The Australian of the Year Award criteria they are judged against include demonstrated excellence in their field, significant contribution to the community, and being an inspirational role model with a compelling story for the Australian community. I'm certain that you'll all agree after hearing their stories that our WA finalists certainly hit the mark. The Australian of the Year Awards recognises inspirational Australians whose contributions benefit not only Western Australia, but our nation and beyond. And I'm extremely proud of our finalists in particular. The Local Hero and Young Australian of the Year Awards represent all those qualities. I'm delighted to present the awards for these 2 categories today as they recognise the work of local community members, our local heroes who didn't set out for glory, and also our inspiring young West Australians who confirm our belief that we've got a strong future ahead of us. Western Australians have achieved tremendous national success in these prestigious awards in previous years, and I'm certain that tonight's wonderful individuals will continue to do us proud. I offer my personal thanks to each of our finalists, and in particular their families, whose support is no doubt integral to each of their contributions and their successes. I wish Aspire continued success and thank them for their continuing to bring these marvellous individuals and their stories to our attention and to the attention of the community. Thank you very much. Very delightful.
Just stand front and centre. Ladies and gentlemen, and now we get down to business. Our first award this evening is Australia's Local Hero, and this award recognises Australians making a very significant contribution in their community. Let's take a closer look at the category and the important work of the amazing recipients over the years.
Local heroes are really important to keeping Australian communities strong because they're the glue. They're there to inspire, to communicate with, to stay motivated, to lift everybody in that community when the chips are down.
I stand before you not as an individual, but as a proud representative of every teacher around the country.
Community's much more than belonging to something. It's about doing something together that makes belonging matter.
Anything's possible. You are the answer. And it only starts with a simple thing.
Australia's Local Hero category was added to reflect so many Australians out there that contribute to their local community.
When I give, I feel incredible joy, but I also feel this great sense of connection.
Our local heroes are everyday Australians who achieve extraordinary things. These are Australians who we celebrate as an example of what we can achieve when we put others before ourselves.
Australia's Local Hero Award celebrates remarkable Australians who go above and beyond to be active citizens, making extraordinary contributions in their local communities and showcasing our Australian values. They do not seek praise, but simply want to make their community a better place. So congratulations to all of the finalists in the Australia Local Hero Awards.
Out of our almost countless millions of fellow Australians, we choose this handful each year to honour them, to support them and to encourage them.
Out of our tragedy, we created Dolly's Dream, a vision to educate families and communities on the impacts that bullying has on young lives.
To our Aussie kids doing it tough, hang on, don't give up, help's on the way.
These are the people that form the fabric of our nation. They're on call 24/7 and will jump whenever there's an emergency or someone needs help. And as I say, they show you what's great about the people of Australia.
Much vital work that is done at a local level in communities all around our state. And the nominees for Western Australia's 2021 Local Hero are
Denise Brayley, a dedicated and passionate consumer advocate. Denise has devoted several decades of her life to assisting elderly retirees who have had their life savings stolen through superannuation scams, banking fraud and Ponzi schemes. Between 1993 to 2001, she founded the Real Estate Consumer Association and the Banking and Finance Consumers Association to support consumers and help them recover lost funds. Through Denise's continued efforts, over 11 parliamentary inquiries have been held and changes have been made to consumer law. Denise also works tirelessly to educate consumers and empower them to stand up to corruption. Christopher Doohan, who started the original Adopt a Healthcare Worker group in Western Australia. The initiative connects people with doctors, nurses and other frontline workers in need of help during COVID-19. Christopher set up a Facebook group that encourages people to identify an adoptee in their local area and provide practical support, such as dropping off a care package, babysitting or cleaning. Under Christopher's leadership, the initiative inspired Facebook groups in most states and territories, mobilising a national movement that now boasts more than 140,000 members. Annette Green, who created the Australian Silo Art Trail website and Facebook page, helping struggling communities in regional Australia attract more visitors. After first seeing silo art in Ravensthorpe, Western Australia, she set up a Facebook page and community group to help others discover these attractions. By mapping the large outdoor murals, Annette has boosted tourism in areas affected by drought and bushfires and encouraged more Australians to explore their own country. She's now documented over 150 outdoor art sites, and the art trail extends to over 7,500 kilometres. Rebecca Prince-Ruiz, the founder of Plastic Free July, a global movement that helps millions of people be part of the solution to plastic pollution. Rebecca has worked with state governments and business leaders on reducing single-use plastics and is on the board of the Container Deposit Scheme. She engages with community groups by hosting presentations and workshops for schools, aged care facilities and other community groups. Through her media appearances, publications and social media, Rebecca has inspired countless others to do more for the planet.
Ladies and gentlemen, there are some amazing people doing amazingly diverse things. May I ask the four nominees to stand up where you are, please? And please join me in giving them a very well-deserved round of applause. We're delighted too that WA's 2020 local hero, Susie Abaniak, joins us on stage. And Deputy Premier, will you please tell us who is Western Australia's 2021 local hero?
The 2021 local hero for Western Australia is Rebecca Prince-Ruiz.
Rebecca, if you go to that microphone, we can have a little chat. Rebecca, you founded Plastic Free July nearly 10 years ago. What have you been able to achieve here and globally since? Give us a little sense of the scale of what this now represents.
Well, the scale is just far beyond what I ever imagined, because I never set out to change anything than my own behaviour and what happened in our home and what went into my family's bin. And that was back in 2011, and no one was talking about this problem of plastic waste and pollution at that time, and it was a challenge, but doing it together, there were 40 people that took the challenge with me that became known as Plastic Free July, and it grew because people are concerned about the environment. You know, they want to make a difference. We're not okay with this problem. And so it grew from that 40 to 400 to 4,000, and now millions of people around the world take part. So this is a reflection of them.
Are you daunted by what you've been able to achieve, and it began in your own home and then a broader community, or is that where some of the answers to these problems lie, do you think?
If anyone had said to me, start a global movement, I would have been incredibly daunted. But I didn't. I just set out to change myself and found like-minded people, and together we made a difference. And I think that there's a real lesson in that. So I wasn't daunted. If you told me at the time I'd be up here speaking in front of this many people, I would have been very daunted.
There is urgency too, and I know the state government a couple of weeks ago announced some initiatives over the course of the next 6 years. Do you think that it is less about convincing people now than galvanising a big, broad movement to end our reliance on these plastics?
Absolutely. People in the community do not need convincing. We all know this is a problem. 96% of us say that we're concerned about plastic waste ending up in the ocean. We know the problem, we can see the problems facing our environment, and what we need is solutions. And I think the story of Plastic Free July, which this year saw 300,000 West Australians, 3 million Australians and over 300 million people around the world take part, shows that people are changing their behaviour. They want to make a difference, and they want business to take responsibility and governments to act.
Ladies and gentlemen, Rebecca is an unassuming global superstar. Congratulations, Rebecca. Really fantastic. Thank you so much. Oh, Rebecca will... Rebecca, congratulations and thank you again. Ladies and gentlemen, now to the Young Australian of the Year category. This award recognises inspiring young Australians aged between 16 to 30 who they've accomplished great things already and in all walks of life.
Since 1979, we've had the Young Australian of the Year category, and that's acknowledging 16 to 30-year-olds. And let's face it, youth is the future of the nation.
I truly view this award not just as for me, but rather as an endorsement of the achievements of the Australian women's football national team, and more broadly, Australian women's football and women's sport in general.
Whether it be through encouragement, support, or their own ambition, we all deserve the chance to dream. So dream big, Australia, because anything's possible.
Inspiring others, educating others, celebrating the fact that we have a fantastic country to live in where we can be and grow to our full potential.
We have the power to shape the future and make Australia a place where we're all proud, where we all belong, and where we stand united.
This award ceremony is in a sense a celebration of the idea that individuals use his or her ability to give back to our great nation.
To look at our Young Australians of the Year is to glimpse into the future of our great nation. Their tenacity, commitment and success defy their age. These are young Australians who are making a lasting difference to our great nation.
It takes about 1 hour to wash and dry someone's clothes, and after about 2 minutes to set up, there's not a huge amount to do. So we pull out the 6 orange chairs and everyone sits around and has a really nice chat, and that 1 hour time is a really powerful time for that.
You look for integrity, you look for human decency, and you look for energy.
For me, it's my whole life, all of my team, everyone that I work with, it's about being your authentic self. Like I said, just trying to do the best that you can, regardless of what you do, whether it's in sport, in life, in anything. So this is incredibly humbling, and I know that it's going to be something that sits very, very, very high on my mental peace at home.
I dream of an Australia where people are not afraid of learning Auslan, of having a go and uniting with a language that is uniquely Australian.
When you look at what they've done, and you look at where they're going, we're in good hands.
And the nominees for Western Australia's 2021 Young Australian of the Year are...
Grace Forrest is the founding director of Walk Free, an international human rights organisation working to eradicate modern slavery, which affects over 40 million people globally. Walk Free produces the Global Slavery Index, which is the world's leading data set on measuring and understanding modern slavery. In recognition of her work, Grace was appointed the United Nations Association of Australia's youngest ever Goodwill Ambassador for Anti-Slavery in 2018. Ashley Small, whose organisation helps young people in the youth justice system to create a better future. Through Hello Initiative, Ashley runs the Mobile Support Project, providing recycled smartphones and credit to people in the youth justice system. This empowers them to make positive choices by keeping up with court requirements and nurturing their community connections and digital literacy. The program now supports more than 100 young people and is supported by the Perth Children's Court and frontline justice organisations. Dylan Storer, a young journalist with a passion for social justice, youth rights and climate action. For 2 years, Dylan has hosted The Edge, an award-winning regional current affairs radio program. He's committed to building a better future for young people and has advocated for lowering the voting age to 16. Dylan is a frequent contributor to major publications and speaks regularly at events. He's twice appeared on the ABC's Q&A program, where he called for Australia to become a renewable energy powerhouse. Belinda Tay has been a passionate advocate for voluntary assisted dying legislation in WA. She was instrumental in raising awareness about this issue, running a sophisticated social media campaign, hosting public events and speaking on the steps of WA Parliament House in Perth. Belinda also completed a 70-day walk from Melbourne to Perth to help convince MPs of the need for compassionate choice. Her advocacy saw the successful passage of voluntary assisted dying laws in WA.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I ask those nominees to please stand up where you are so we can acknowledge your work, your wonderful energy, your ambition and your passion. And WA's 2020 Young Australian of the Year, Yalalu Thomas, joins us on stage. I'm very glad to see him here too. Minister, will you please tell us who is Western Australia?
The 2021 Young Australian of the Year for Western Australia is Grace Forrest.
So we begin with a local hero who wants to rid the world of plastics, and we continue with a young Australian who wants to rid the world of slavery. Give me a little sense of what the last few years have been like, Grace, with such a lofty ambition, but then the need to actually do something to make it work.
We fundamentally believe at Walk Free that the standard you walk past is the standard you accept. And the fact that there are more people living in slavery today than any other time in human history, that they exist in every country in the world and indeed in transnational supply chains, certainly in some Australian businesses, the last few years have looked like trying to keep that firmly on the agenda for business and government leaders around the world. And I'm extremely proud of Australia's efforts in the introduction of the Australian Modern Slavery Act, which is some of the strongest legislation in the world on supply chain transparency.
I was interested to read the other day that you are launching a campaign to pressure business leaders around the world to clean up their supply chains in the wake of COVID-19. Just explain that a little bit to us.
Well, slavery is a manifestation of extreme inequality, and it disproportionately affects women and girls around the world. So what we've found this year, conservatively, is that 1 in every 130 women and girls on Earth is living in modern slavery. And the scary thing is that this issue could be as close as the clothes that you're wearing tonight, the coffee you drank this morning, the technology in your pocket. It is truly an omnipresent problem, and one that is, as I said, connected to businesses. And where there is the greatest risk to slavery, there's the greatest opportunity to end it. So Walk Free is the non-government secretariat of the Bali process. We work with major businesses around Australia and in our region. And what we find in the Asia Pacific, our backyard, our neighbourhood, is that we're the region with the most amount of slavery, and we have the greatest responsibility to fix that.
Well, we congratulate you on this award tonight. It's a magnificent achievement. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Grace, congratulations again. And thank you very much to Deputy Premier Roger Cook for being part of the awards ceremony tonight. It's not as if he hasn't got anything else he might be doing. Ladies and gentlemen, we are halfway through our awards, and I'd like to invite our guest of honour to say a few words. Raconteurs don't just say a few words. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome the Honourable Kim Beazley AC, the Governor of Western Australia.
Thanks very much, Jeff. Thanks for your kind introduction. And Steve Irons for remonstrating with me in a way that's going to shut me up tonight, very effectively. Can I first, of course, acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we meet, the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation, and pay my respects to their elders past and present. And thank you in particular to Whadjuk Elder Teresa Wally, together with Jonathan Ford, Whadjuk Marman, for your wonderful welcome to country, and with all of those who are supporting you in that welcome. It was wonderful to see so many of Whadjuk and other Aboriginal tribes welcome in the audience and in the nominees for what it is that we are presiding over here today. I acknowledge too Deputy Premier Roger Cook, Minister Steve Irons, Governor the Honourable Dr Ken Michael, Opposition Leader Lisa Harvey, Deputy Lord Mayor, City of Perth, Sandy Angie, and I particularly want to acknowledge Bradley Woods and Morgan Lewis. You have got no idea what they've been through. You've got to remember what we were like a few months ago. We're not like it anymore. We were terrified. We didn't really know what to do. All sorts of people who had responsibilities for commemorative events like this all over the place, who rightly see what they do fundamental to how we see ourselves as a people and what sense of self-confidence we have in the community, did not know what to do. And Bradley and Morgan have done a most extraordinary work putting all this together, and we are actually in your debt. And can I, in that context too, thank your board members who have also put that effort in. Can I acknowledge too Al Williams, who is here from Chevron, who have stepped up to the mark. One of the things that everybody has feared right through the voluntary sector of our community is that the sponsors, the philanthropists, are going to run away. They didn't. The philanthropists, I would say, have stepped up magnificently, not just for this exercise, but for multiple exercises through the country. So we've got reason to be grateful to them as well. Well, I'm delighted to be here today as the patron for the announcement of the recipients of the 2021 Australian of the Year Awards for Western Australia. Since its inception in 1960, the awards have provided a focal point and forum for the recognition of outstanding achievement. And the award offers an insight into our identity, and its focus reflects the nation's evolving relationship with its community. Awardees have been recognised for their contribution to sport, the environment, the arts, Indigenous affairs, multiculturalism, adventure, science, medicine, but always with an importance placed on their contribution to our society, our resilience, our capacity as a nation and people, our strength. Tonight's nominees are no different. We've already heard 8 wonderful stories of West Australians leading the way in their chosen fields. And I'm sure I speak on behalf of all of us here tonight, am extremely proud to live in a community where we can recognise such great humans. You are inspiring. As we move on to the next 2 categories, I'd like to make particular mention of Professor John Newnham AM. Now, John stood before us last year as our WA Senior Australian of the Year and then went on to take out the National Honours. And I think we all knew he was going to be a very tough nominee to beat when we sent him off. So very well deserved, John. And you've carried out the role under such unusual circumstances this year. Thank you for being an exemplary role model and for your lifelong contribution to our community. John has not missed a beat during the course of this pandemic. He has done extraordinary work with his centre, and he's set up a very popular set of lectures. We have become, over the course of the last 9 months or so, a very intellectual people. And we emerge from this vastly better informed, with vastly greater respect, I would say, for brains, and for people who've got something to say that actually makes sense. And it's one of the examples of that, off in his own corner, is John Newnham. And if ever there was a bloke who absolutely deserved the award that he got, he proved it during the course of this year. Well, nominees in tonight's Senior Australian and Australian of the Year categories are going to bring to the fore an incredible range of expertise. And I was thrilled to meet them earlier and look forward to hearing more now as we learn about 8 other inspiring West Australians. Hearing their stories and seeing the impact that they've made on our nation, it makes me proud and it'll make you proud. They make me proud to be patron of this organisation, whose objective is to recognise inspiring role models making a positive difference to the country. Auspire champions inclusiveness, respect for others, and active citizenship, and to strive to be an inclusive and supportive nation where everyone feels a sense of belonging. They are fundamental now to our understanding of and capacity for national resilience. Now, that can only be done through our people and by championing the ones who do it well. And these awards are the most prestigious community recognition we have. They provide a platform to share important messages to enhance our already wonderful country. Well, good luck to our finalists and to those who go on to represent us on the national stage in January.
Governor, thank you very much. Governor, you could just give you a stand. Just stand over there. Ladies and gentlemen, and thank you, Governor. Our next award is the Senior Australian of the Year, and this award celebrates the ongoing achievements of Australians aged 65 years and over who continue to challenge themselves and inspire other people.
Our Senior Australians are so inspiring, a lifetime of work. They can really show the young people of Australia a way forward, and these awards where we recognise the Senior Australian of the Year is a real platform to put them in the spotlight.
Only by accepting, correcting and building on mistakes can we eventually experience the satisfaction of doing something or seeing something that has never been done or seen before.
I pray that all people in our wonderful country, Australia, regardless of language, culture, skin colour or religious belief, may stand tall as proud Australians.
Reading is probably the most powerful thing that you can give to a child, reading and stories.
It's a reflection and acknowledgement of people who have pretty much had a lifetime of making a contribution to this nation and inspiring those people around them.
We are a nation built on stories, and the stories our Senior Australians of the Year tell are of tireless dedication, perseverance and commitment to improving the lives of others. This award gives us an opportunity to celebrate our senior Australians and the achievements of their life's work.
Senior Australians have contributed greatly to the building of this nation. The Senior Australian of the Year Awards are an opportunity to recognise the outstanding contribution that you continue to make. The people nominated for these awards are role models for their families, their peers, for all Australians, no matter their age.
We need to remember that we adults are the drivers for the world our children experience every day. Raising children is so much more than a family responsibility.
The road has not been easy, and we need to be more accepting of each other.
I stand here representing all of you. This is a whole-of-nation effort now, and I'm very proud and thrilled that this award will help propagate our efforts.
Our senior Australians have had a lifetime of experience, but it doesn't stop now.
The Senior Australian of the Year category have and continue to shape our nation.
Ladies and gentlemen, the nominees for Western Australia's 2021 Senior Australian of the Year are...
Marion Blackwell AM is a renowned environmental scientist and landscape architect. Marion helped create a number of Australia's national parks, including Purnululu, the Bungle Bungles in Western Australia. She was also instrumental in mapping and identifying the vast riches of the west of the continent, guided by her deep respect for the knowledge of Indigenous Australians. Throughout her life, Marion has been a dedicated teacher and champion for women. Her long and distinguished career was recognised with her appointment to the board of the Environmental Protection Authority WA. Ron Manners AO, of family company Man West Group Proprietary Limited and founder and chair of the Mancall Economic Education Foundation, which sponsors students to receive internships and attend conferences across the globe. Established in 1997, the Foundation's Leadership Development Program is now a world-renowned education initiative benefiting more than 2,000 WA students. In addition to founding Croesus Mining and serving on numerous international boards, Ron has published 7 books and numerous articles on mining and economic education. Naralga Tommy May, a Wangajunga Walmajeri painter and printmaker. He is a founder of the Carolee Adult Education Centre, where adults are taught to read and write English. Naralga is renowned as a keeper and teacher of Kurtal stories and ceremony, and is skilled in traditional singing and dance. He utilises painting and printmaking to tell stories of his land, his dreaming and ceremony. Naralga has exhibited nationally and internationally for more than 20 years. Dr. Richard Wally, who guides people and organisations on their journey of reconciliation through cultural awareness. A champion of the Whadjuk and Noongar people, he shares his profound knowledge of language, cultural practices and historic injustices. Richard reinvigorated the practice of the modern-day Welcome to Country, a ceremony that is now commonplace across Australia. He's sought by the government and private sectors to undertake cultural awareness training and advise on Indigenous affairs.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to ask these 4 nominees to stand up so we have the opportunity to thank you for your incredible efforts. And may I add, echoing the Governor's words, how pleased we are that the Western Australian and National 2020 Senior Australian of the Year, Professor John Newnham, is on this stage with us as well. Governor, will you tell us who is Western Australia's 2021 Senior Australian of the Year?
The 2021 Senior Australian of the Year for Western Australia is Dr. Richard Wally.
Richard Wally. What can we learn from our elders, Richard?
I must say I definitely need permission from the other three nominees to accept this, because I feel like a kindergarten student in the presence of these three wonderful nominees. Very humbling. But I firmly believe in spirit and energy, and I believe that occasions like this are statements, not about me, about our situations. In the past, it used to be legal to shoot Aboriginal people. Then there was a sector in our history when you can get a permit to hunt and shoot Aboriginal people. Then there was a sector where we were barred from where we stand today. Then we had to apply for citizenships. So there was lots of ancestors who stood before me, who stood up to those and made those changes. And we have an obligation today to say that there's a fair way to go, but there's a lot of changes. And I stand for Australia as a nation. I was on the Centenary Federation. But I also have to have this challenge about the Australia date, and I have a challenge with that. So I firmly believe in Australia. I have a challenge with the date, and that's my modern challenge today.
You have been teaching us and making us culturally aware for a very long time. And this week, the Australian Parliament voted down the flying of the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander flags in our Senate in this NAIDOC week. And yet a day later, the New South Wales Premier came out and suggested we change the wording of the anthem to replace young with one, to better acknowledge a much longer and deeper history. We are a land of mixed messages, it seems, and I wonder what message you would like to take with you as our nominee for the Senior Australian of the Year.
My message is Australia is a very decent place, full of very decent people. And we, as 3% of this population, we appeal to your common decency. And that decency is a fantastic thing. And you can't ask for anything else more than respect and decency.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Richard Wally is our Senior West Australian Australian of the Year. Richard, thank you very much. And Professor John Newnham, thank you very much, sir. Before moving to our final award this evening, I'd like to acknowledge the generous partners who together make this awards program possible. Our National Diversity and Inclusion partner, Chevron, helps us to inspire and foster unity and connect people of all ages and backgrounds. The Australian of the Year category partner, Australia Post, supports our national recipient in the delivery of their vital messaging nationwide. The Department of Health is our category partner for the Senior Australian of the Year, and the Department of Home Affairs is the Local Hero Award category partner. We thank our broadcast partner, the ABC, without whom I wouldn't have a job, who will screen the national announcement on January the 25th. The ABC also help us connect with local communities all around Australia on radio, TV and online. Our media partner, Australian Community Media, help us inspire millions of Australians by telling the stories of our extraordinary state and territory recipients and supporting our call for nominations nationwide. Our alumni partner is the International Day of People with a Disability. We thank our official hotel partner, the Intercontinental Hotels Group, and we do appreciate your warm hospitality for our travelling nominees and recipients. We'd like to thank our cultural partner, the Australian National University, who through its schools of art and music and the amazing students there have designed the trophies and composed the music being played for our recipients today. And our thanks go to our exhibition partner, the National Museum of Australia, who delivers the Australian of the Year exhibition around the country throughout the year. We appreciate the continued support of our legal partner, Minter Ellison, and last but certainly not least, our WA event partner, Fogarty Wines, for providing wines from Deep Woods, Everton Tate and Millbrook Winery. Please join me in thanking our partners for their vital and ongoing support. Our final award this evening is Western Australia's 2021 Australian of the Year.
History shows us the amazing fields of endeavour that have been covered off in the Australian of the Year awards. We've got musicians, we've got scientists, medical researchers, even some sports people. I think it's a broad reflection of the qualities of people we have around the nation.
Unlike me, you don't have to go overseas to realise your dreams. You can realise them right here. Just look into your own heart and look to your own land.
I'm going to continue to be myself, keep standing up for what I believe in, and hopefully by doing this, other people will follow.
Our Australians of the Year are truly extraordinary. We can all be proud of the contributions they have made to our nation and the remarkable things they have achieved. They lead us, inspire us, help those in need and make our country a far better place.
I think it's really important for all Australians to really think about who these people are and what they've done, not just for themselves, but for everyone.
There's a temptation to take the easy route. I think that life will be better if we mould it to make it as comfortable as possible.
Time is short, get amongst it and take your kids with you.
For over 211 years, Australia Post has been at the heart of Australian communities, connecting them to each other and the world. We're thrilled to recognise the incredible Australian of the Year award recipients who make such a profound contribution to their communities and to the nation. And we're proud to support the Australian of the Year award and join you in celebrating these great Australians.
If I can make a difference to someone else's life, if they can draw some strength by hearing what I say and knowing that I'm speaking on their behalf, it'll give me a lot of hope.
I thank from the bottom of my heart those of you who give of your time, give of your expertise, give of your hearts, and especially those who risk their lives to make this country the greatest place on earth. Thank you.
The Australian of the Year, they really do reflect what's important as an individual and collectively as a nation to the rest of the country, and they'll continue to shape the nation as we move in the future.
Ourselves. The nominees for Western Australia's 2021 Australian of the Year are
Professor William Carroll, a distinguished neurologist who leads the World Federation of Neurology and also works towards solving late-stage disabling multiple sclerosis, an illness affecting more than 1 million people worldwide. William sat on the MS Research Australia board for more than 10 years and was the founding chair of the MS Research Management Council. He was instrumental in setting up many of the research practices of MS Research Australia, which have been adopted by many other non-profits around the world. Professor Helen Milroy, Australia's first Indigenous doctor and a highly regarded expert in child and adolescent psychiatry. For more than 25 years, Helen has pioneered research into Aboriginal and child mental health, cultural models of care and trauma recovery. She's played a key role on numerous mental health advisory committees and boards, including the National Mental Health Commission. In 2018, Helen received the Australian Indigenous Doctor of the Year award, recognising her many achievements. Emeritus Professor Kemengot Nair has dedicated almost 4 decades to advancing the clean energy industry. Kemengot has pioneered research and secured more than $9 million in research and project grants. These have been used to design, build and implement renewable energy solutions in Australia and overseas. Kemengot has held numerous leadership positions in the university sector and in renewable energy institutions. His expertise is frequently sought out by the UN and government agencies around the world. Professor Mark Newman, an exceptionally skilled and compassionate cardiothoracic surgeon at Sir Charles Gairdner Hospital in Perth. Mark changed the face of patient management, introducing the concept of high dependency care outside the intensive care unit. In addition to his role as head of the clinical service unit, Mark has led groundbreaking research and championed patient safety and quality. He also works tirelessly to educate and support the next generation of surgeons and caregivers.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I ask the nominees for the 2020 West Australian Australian of the Year to please stand so we may acknowledge your extraordinary achievements. We are delighted, of course, that Western Australia's 2020 Australian of the Year, Annie Fogarty, joins us on stage. Governor, will you please tell us who is the West Australian 2021 Australian of the Year?
The 2021 Australian of the Year for Western Australia is Professor Helen Milroy.
Helen's been winning a few awards lately. She's recently announced one of the winners of the Australian Mental Health Prize, and now this wonderful acknowledgement for an extraordinary career. Helen, what does it mean?
I didn't think I'd be this nervous. I just have to acknowledge my Indigenous brothers and sisters here tonight, and especially my mum. She's 92, and I think this just means so much to me, because you can't grow up as an Aboriginal person in WA in the 60s and 70s and 80s and not be struck by the contrast that you're exposed to. And I think throughout my life and my career, I have seen both the frailty and the strength of the human spirit, and some of the best and some of the worst of humanity. And I think that's what's driven me to try, to do better, to stand up, to speak up, and to make life matter. It means a lot. And I just really also want to acknowledge my grandmother, who's obviously not here tonight. If Mum's 92, that might be a hard feat, but I know she's with me in spirit. Thank you.
Helen, you have been very concerned about the mental health of Australian kids and our capacity to understand those challenges and better respond to them. What must we do more robustly than we have been doing?
Look, we've got to stand up for the kids, we really do. And I think that it's a really hard thing to understand, but children are no more immune to the challenges in mental health than adults are. But they're often overlooked. People think they're resilient or they don't know what's going on. I can tell you they do. They do know what's going on. And unless we invest in our kids, we won't have a good future. They are our future. And I think that in all my years of clinical work in particular, kids just, they keep you grounded. They have so much to offer, and we just need to be able to provide what they need. We are a very, very lucky country. I love living in Australia, and we have the resources, we have the know-how, and we can make a difference.
Helen, you have long years of clinical research. If you become the Australian of the Year, you're going to be asked to give a lot of speeches.
I like talking.
What will be the essence of that message, though?
Well, I believe that children are our future. and I believe that we have the capacity to make a difference in their lives. I also think that we have to stop ignoring what happens to kids and have a really cold, hard look at some of the experiences that our children go through, and not wait until they're adults before we intervene. We can actually do something now, today, tomorrow, and all of us can do something to help our children's health and well-being, because at the end of the day, they are our future. And I think that as much as they have resilience, yes, they also need help, and we can do that. I think the other, I'll leave you with something from a painting that I did. And that is that from an Aboriginal perspective, children are a gift. They are born from a country and our culture that's as enduring as the universe, and we are all connected for eternity through love, life and spirit. So let's stand up for the kids and we'll have a bright future.
Ladies and gentlemen, Helen Milroy is Western Australia's 2020 Australian of the Year. Congratulations, Helen. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to offer our congratulations to Rebecca Prince-Ruiz, our local hero, Grace Forrest, our Young Australian of the Year, Dr. Richard Wally, our Senior Australian of the Year, and of course, Professor Helen Milroy, the Australian of the Year, please. What a beautiful collection of well-lived lives. This evening's award recipients are now both our West Australian recipients for 2021 and our representatives at the Australian of the Year Awards nationally, and the Prime Minister will announce the national recipients on the eve of Australia Day at 7:30 p.m. from the National Arboretum in Canberra. And on behalf of all of us, I do wish our recipients and nominees every success in your future endeavours and all the best in the next stage of this program. Remember, if you'd like to share this evening's events on social media, because some of the kids like to, hashtag Oz of the Year. And I would encourage all of you to think about the people who inspire you. There are some stories tonight with which you would not have been familiar, and how brilliant they are, and how we need to tell them, and how we need to encourage people and reward the unsung heroes of this country. That brings us to the end of our formalities. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd very much like to thank Governor Kim Beazley for his wonderful, erudite, outstanding contribution to the evening. Please stay and enjoy the rest of what we have to offer tonight. Take the opportunity to meet our nominees and recipients, and of course we would like to ask the 4 recipients to join the Governor and Deputy Premier at the front of the stage for some official photos. It has been my absolute pleasure to be your host tonight. Thank you and have a very good evening.